Hello everyone, and welcome to Order, the place where we answer questions that nobody asked. ULTRAKILL is a game where kills are at the forefront of its gameplay loop, and you'd expect that in order to beat its 31 levels, it would require a lot of kills. But I feel like that begs the question, how many? How many kills are actually required in order to beat the game's main campaign? That's what I set out to find. My only rules are no cheats or major assists. Out-of-bounds glitches are allowed and necessary if we want to get the kills as low as possible. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. 0-1 is pretty simple. After skipping the first room, we do an out-of-bounds clip called Pipe Clip, which allows us to rocket ride directly to the end room. Interestingly though, we don't fight the Maurice, instead opting to reload our checkpoint and do Pipe Clip for a second time. This time, flying to the end elevator shaft, and sliding right down, allowing us to beat 0-1 with 0 kills. 0-2 starts out with a core eject and up door to get out of bounds. From there, we rocket ride into this checkpoint, and then to the end door. After reloading to that checkpoint we clip out of bounds again, where we do the same trick we used in 0-1 to beat the level with 0 kills. 0-3 nets us our first kill of the run, being this swords machine at the end. There's not a whole lot to talk about here, so let's just move on. In the first arena alone, 0-4 gives us 16 kills. For reference, that is more than the entirety of Act 1. Thankfully, it is just in that first arena. The second area can be skipped by just running past it, and the third arena can be flown over. After the absolute massacre that was 0-4, it's a relief to see that 0-5 only has 2 enemies to kill. So, after killing the Samurai, we can end out Prelude with a total of 19 kills. Moving on to Limbo. Need I say more? Thankfully, 1-2 actually has interesting stuff to talk about. Mainly this out-of-bounds clip that allows us to get to the end arena, in which we score an additional 12 kills to the count. 1-3 only has one additional kill, that being the Hideous Mass at the end. All we need to do is grab the blue skull, kill the Hideous Mass, and move on to 1-4. 1-4 doesn't have any kills in it, meaning that we can finish off Limbo with only 13 kills added to the count. 2-1 is very simple. All we need to do is break through this wall, and then Ultra Boost and rocket ride to the end. 2-2 also doesn't have any kills, considering the fact that the only required objective is to break all the power boxes, so after doing that, we're free to leave. 2-3 is a level where if we want to beat it without kills, we're going to need to use the secret exit. Getting the first 2 power boxes is easy, but the third one's a bit trickier. In order to get it, we're going to need to abuse funky door geometry in order to clip out of bounds, where we can then rocket ride into the arena where the third power box is. Then after we get it, all we need to do is reload our checkpoint and then go into the secret exit in order to beat the level with 0 kills. 2-4 plays out normally, so the only thing of note is that we add 1 more kill to the count. Gluttony is the only layer that actually has 0 kills. In order to do it, we just need to use the rocket launcher to clip out of bounds, and then fly over to the P-1 door. Speaking of P-1, there are only 2 enemies to kill here, so that's 2 more added to the count. Since 3-2 doesn't have any more enemies to kill, that means that Act 1 has a total of 14 kills. Similarly to 2-1, and 4-1 can be entirely skipped by just nuking yourself to the end. 4-2 is a bit more complicated. We need to rocket right away from the start so that the filth don't spawn, but after we do that, we're free to go for the secret exit like normal. 4-3 ends our pacifist streak in the absolute worst way possible. After clipping out of bounds and flying to the end area, we are forced to kill 28 enemies. This level alone is responsible for over half of the kills in Act 2. Surprisingly, we're actually able to skip V2's death, and the process to do so is simple. Step 1. Beat V2 and grab the Whiplash. Step 2. Reload your checkpoint and beat V2 again. Step 3. Pause and unpause the game to be able to move your camera, and then press Q to be able to fire your weapons. Step 4. Fire the malrail to prevent you from landing, and rocket ride to the checkpoint and reload. By doing this, we skip V2's death animation, and therefore not kill him. We then beat the level as normal with only 4 kills. Wrath, just like Prelude, starts out with an out-of-bounds clip. By walking into this room and using the weapon wheel to slow the game down, we can just kind of slide into this wall until we clip out of bounds. From there, we can fly to this checkpoint and then go through the secret exit in order to beat 5-1 with 0 kills. 5-2 starts by just skipping the first half of the level before going indoors and getting the only kill of this level. From there, it's time we did a little shenanigans. See, for some reason, if we were to knock the idle street cleaner into the door and then reload our checkpoint, the door stays open. I have no idea why this happens, but it allows us to get the skull, so I'm not complaining. From there, all we need to do is just walk outside, use the skull, pay the ferryman, and move on. Continuing the theme of just skipping entire parts of the level, 5-3 starts by using the rocket launcher to clip out of bounds, and then flying up to a checkpoint near the end of the level. This is where things get a bit tricky. See, if we were to just run through this area like normal, then the 2 street cleaners that spawn would be killed by the water. So we need to find some way to circumvent that. My solution to this problem was to get the Cerberus stuck behind the door so that it wouldn't be a threat anymore, and then slowly trying to use the whiplash to get the 2 street cleaners through this door, that way they wouldn't be killed. Then, after we do that, we can just run past all of the enemies that spawn in order to beat 5-3 with 0 kills. Considering the fact that in 5-4 we have to kill the Leviathan, that means that we are forced to add another kill to the count. Going into this challenge, I thought that 6-1 would have one of the highest kill counts, but as it turns out, it's actually on the lower end, only having as many kills as 0-4. After getting 3 kills in the first arena, we make our way through the level as normal, making sure to not get that checkpoint before getting the red skull. It's here that instead of walking forward, we choose to reload our checkpoint, which resets our kills back to 3 while still having the red skull. It's here that we do, I believe, to be one of the funnier out-of-bounds clips, because this spire up here just straight up does not have any collision. Once we're up there, we can just ultra boost to the end arena, where there are only 13 more kills, meaning that Heresy has a total of 16. Since 6-2 doesn't have any more enemies to kill, that means that Act 2 has a total of 50 kills. Before we move on to violence, let's quickly cover P-2. P-2 is the exact same as P-1, since it only has 2 enemies to kill, meaning that Prime Sanctums have a total of 4. Would you be surprised to learn that the layer called Violence would contain a lot of kills? Yeah, I didn't think so. 7-1 is one of the most complicated levels in this entire run, but it starts out simple enough. We make our way through the level like normal until we get to the part where we have to pick up the blue skull for the second time, in which we use the same checkpoint trick we did in Heresy to reset our kills while still having the skull. It's then that we use the rocket launcher to smuggle this skull through the doorway, so that way we don't have to kill all of the enemies that come after it. We are then forced to kill an additional 10 enemies, meaning that 7-1 ends with 24 kills. 7-2 is the only level in the game that's actually intended to be beaten without kills, and the process to do so goes as follows. Step 1. Skip the first Gutterman and the chessboard arena and go directly to the cross next to the clock tower and fall down. Step 2. Before you get to the courtyard with the 2 Guttermen, you need to jump off of the cart and then fly over the courtyard. This way the Guttermen don't spawn and you can pass safely. 3. Use literally any explosive to blow open the container with the red skull, and then use the whiplash to grab it without spawning the gutter tanks. Step 4. Repeat Step 2 to go back, and then ignore the 2 enemies that spawn in the station. Step 5. Follow this specific pattern in the library in order to not spawn the enemies, and beat the level with 0 kills. 7-3 takes the crown for the level with the single highest kill count. In order to do it, we just need to use the rocket launcher and spam slide into this wall, and then fly over directly to the end arena, in which we get a whopping 33 kills. This level alone has more kills than the entirety of Greed. Back when violence first came out, there was a glitch that allowed players to just fly up to the top of the Earth Mover and then effectively lobotomize him, meaning that he was the only kill of the level. And even after that got patched, it's still possible. After skipping the security system, we need to do a very specific set of steps in order to make this work. Step 1. Punch specifically these two idols and then reload your checkpoint. Step 2. Run off the side of the Earth Mover and fall into the gray sand. If done correctly, you should now be back inside the Earth Mover, but without the ticking countdown. Step 3. Break all the idols within the Earth Mover, saving the top one for last. By doing this, we spawn in the Earth Mover's brain and the lasers that appear during the fight, but not the room the fight takes place in, which means that after we activate the lasers ourselves, they kill the Earth Mover for us, meaning that we can end off violence with a total of 58 kills. And when we tally up all of the previous levels, we find out that the minimum amount of kills actually required to beat ULTRAKILL is 145. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed, then please do consider liking and subscribing. It's free, and it means a lot. I'll be trying to make more content like this in the future, so stay tuned. I deleted my Discord server, so join my Roblox group, I guess. And as always, have a good one.